shotglassdigital.com. Rebel Force Radio is brought to you by Little Debbie Snacks, bakers of all galactic goodness, like Star Crunch, Cosmic Cupcakes, Mini Donuts, and much more. Little Debbie, official snack of Rebel Force Radio, Rancho Obi-Wan, and fans around the galaxy.
Rebel Force Radio presents...
Hello, what have we here?
Fangirls Going Rogue.
I met her in a Jedi chat room.
Star Wars news, topics, and conversation from the female point of view.
I like the sound of that.
This is Fangirls Going Rogue.
So, guys, there's a special holiday coming up. I don't know if you knew about it. Do you know what it is?
Wait, don't tell me. Memorial Day.
A little bit too far away.
No?
Groundhog's Day.
Well, we passed that.
That's your special day, Tricia.
It is Tricia's special day.
It's a holiday simply because I aged one more day. And thank you, everybody, for your awesome birthday wishes. So thank you.
Yep.
Yay.
So happy birthday to Tricia, because she just had a birthday. But that wasn't the day I was specifically talking about. I was talking about Valentine's Day. It's coming up. Does anybody have any special plans?
I do.
Are they geeky plans?
Depends on what you consider geeky. Richard and I, instead of giving gifts this year, we are just going to go to Disneyland, and whatever we happen to do or buy or whatever, that will be our Valentine's Day gift.
Aw, that's sweet. I'm sure that's what I would have done if I was still in Florida.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Aw.
Tricia, do you have any Valentine's plans?
Probably sing The Love Boat. No. Nothing specific, but it's one of my favorite holidays. So
Why is that?
It is.
pink, reds, all my favorite colors, candies, chocolates, roses.
Well, I do work part-time at a Hallmark store, so I've got Valentine's overload.
I bet you do.
But anyway, welcome everybody to the show. This is Fangirls Going Rogue. We are on episode 16. And as you can tell, this is our February episode. And if you can't tell, we are girls and we like Valentine's Day. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about Valentine's and love in the Star Wars universe later on. But it has been a month since we talked. So, Tricia, why don't you tell me if there has been anything new and exciting that has happened to you in the last month since we recorded?
Cats.
Cats are here. They have made their, 5 minutes into the show. There we go.
Lothal cats.
Lothal cats.
New and exciting. Not that I know much about it, but I learned that there will be a book tour for Ultimate Star Wars. So that's pretty new and exciting, and I'm learning more about it. So we'll get to talk sometime when I know
what you're doing.
Awesome.
And I'm assuming you're going to be part of that book tour.
Yes, I will be part of that book tour.
Wow. That is so exciting.
I think it's awesome that your real job is going to be like, yeah, go on a book tour.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have some fun events that happened. One being the Star Wars Half Marathon weekend at Disneyland, about 2 weeks now. And I think we'll go into that a little later in the show, but that was a super exciting time, and it was our first Skywalking Through Neverland, my other podcast. It was our first meetup at Disneyland and my husband Richard's birthday, all in one crazy, awesome weekend. So that was very exciting.
I saw tweets and stuff for that. Y'all's costume was awesome for the, I don't remember which race it was, but I just went, oh, okay, yeah, she just did that in like a day. Yeah, I will never be able to costume in my life.
Well, we'll keep it a mystery for now, but later on in the show, yeah, I'll let listeners know what we were.
And Teresa, what exciting and new has happened to you?
Well, it is 1,000% confirmed that I will be at Celebration. I, for a while there, didn't know if I was going to be able to go, but, and I've had my hotel booked forever in case I was going, but I did find out that my school people are super supportive and they want me to be there, so I am going. And my plane tickets are bought, and Also, because I got so excited about Celebration, I bought the R2-D2 carry-on rolling luggage from ThinkGeek.
Yay!
So that will be how I will be taking all of my clothes there. And I made business cards, and those should be here soon. And I'm working with somebody on Etsy to make a business card holder that is Star Wars themed, and he's made a lot of designs for me, and I'm going to get several, but my first one and the one I'll have there is going to be Hera themed. So if you want to see it, come and find me. Excellent. I know, I'm really pumped.
Yeah, I'm very excited that we're all three going to be there, because it wouldn't have been the same without you.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, guys, let's jump into this. We asked for feedback. We always do, and we have gotten a ton. We have a couple of voicemails to play. So, Tricia?
First is from one of my dear friends, Kay. She asked a really neat question, so let's listen to it.
Aloha, fangirls. It's Kay from Fangirl Blog, and I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite thing that you learned from Star Wars? And welcome to the show, Sarah. Thanks. Bye.
Kay, let's see. The answer to your question for me, what is my favorite thing I've learned from Star Wars, is probably that you could have so many friends that love the same thing that you love, that you could talk about, and that you could actually like different things and still have something that you all love and brings you together. So that's my favorite thing.
Aw, that's lovely. I was trying to think of something intelligent to say, but now that you've said that, that kind of reminds me. I'm not saying that that's not intelligent.
What you just said wasn't smart, but good job.
No, but that's more warm-hearted and makes me think of the same thing, really, my favorite thing. And that brings me back to a moment back when I first saw Star Wars. I saw it by myself. So when I went to this summer camp, a couple weeks after I just saw Star Wars for the first time, these people were talking about Star Wars, and I like joined in the conversation, but I was so excited to see that other people liked Star Wars as much as I did that I was like shaking, and I think I came across as a total spaz because I just couldn't control myself.
I can totally see you looking like a spaz.
Wait, Sarah, I think you probably always come across as a total spaz. And I don't say that in a bad way. I just think you have more energy than most people in the entire universe. Aww. And the galaxy far, far away.
I'm crying right now because it's so true.
If we could bottle your energy, then it would be, and spread it like Tinkerbell fairy dust,
Aww.
then, we would end the power problems of our universe.
Oh my gosh, that gave me a great idea. I'm going to go to a craft store. I'm going to get a bunch of glitter and little cheap bottles. I'm going to label them all Sarah's Energy, and I'm going to hand them out all over Celebration. And then when we do the fangirl flail, everybody can toss the glitter in the air.
Woohoo! It's like Jedi Tink's pixie dust.
There you go. Oh my God, how cool is that?
Force-infused pixie dust.
That's pretty awesome.
That's cool. You should market that and sell it. Seriously.
I really should. All right. Ideas forming.
All right. So my favorite thing that I've learned from Star Wars, I'm going to go the intelligent route. Just, so you guys know. My favorite thing is actually that Star Wars taught me about resilience, persistence, and determination. And it just to basically never give up, and that you can always do everything and anything that you really want to do. It's the whole do or do not, there is no try thing. It's like my motto in life. Determination, persistence, and resilience.
Awesome.
Our second voicemail, well, it's from somebody anonymous. Doesn't leave his name, but let's see if you guys can figure out who it is.
Hey, fangirls. This is an anonymous, unbiased listener who wanted to say that I'm loving the show, and I'm loving the fact that Sarah Woloski from Skywalking Through Neverland is now a part of Fangirls Going Rogue. So once again, keep up the great work from an anonymous, unbiased caller. Sarah, did you want to add anything?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Take care, guys, and may the Force be with you. Yub nub.
That voice is interesting.
I think you really like that voice, Sarah. I think that's like your favorite sound in the world.
Speaking of bottled energy, I think
yeah, no joke.
Okay, so yeah, for those of you who don't know, that was my husband Richard, and yes, I told him, "Hey, you should leave a voicemail. We're asking for voicemails," and so he goes and leaves that voicemail.
It was awesome. I can say when I heard it for the first time, I started laughing. So I especially love the end. Sarah, do you have anything else to add?
I did not know he was going to do that.
It was good. It was good. All right. Well, let's jump into some of these emails.
Thank you for all these amazing emails that people sent in. So Joey Pittman didn't send in one. He sent in two because he was so excited. But part of the reason he had to send in two was there was some information breaking today. So Joey first asked, "Hey ladies, quick question. Now that Gareth Edwards has cast Orphan Black's Tatiana Maslany, I think I said that right, as the lead character in his Star Wars spin-off film, I've recently read that part is for her playing Sabine in the movie. Do you think that's true or just a rumor?" And then this is my favorite part. "Also, would a character from an animated show be worthy of a live action movie? Keep up the great work." And then he put hashtag man enough to fangirl flail, Joey Pittman.
Love it.
Then he sends his second email and he's like, "Disregard my last email. New rumor has Felicity Jones possibly playing Sabine. Anyways, interested to hear your thoughts." So there's talk of Sabine, and that's a rumor, so don't worry too much about who it is or isn't. They're both amazing actresses, and, you go to the Hollywood Reporter, you get one thing. You go to other sites, you get other information. But any way you slice that, those are awesome, amazing actresses. So that's where I stand on it, and I'm just excited that we're talking about more Star Wars movies. So, ladies?
Yep. Well, I think he asked the question of, is an animated character worthy of having a live action presence on the big screen? And I think absolutely, especially if the character is dynamic enough and, can hold her own. And I think Sabine can. I don't think we've learned enough about her in Rebels yet. So it would be really cool if this particular story gives us more information on her. So I don't know. I mean, I think it definitely... she would make a good character in a film. Who
I'd like to see in film? From the Ahsoka Tano.
Oh,
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But I only want Ahsoka if Ashley is playing her.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking just from a visual standpoint, I think it would be awesome to see Sabine in live action. I mean, if you think about it, that costume is so great.
I think it's awesome. All right. Well, our last email is from Amanda Bond, and she says, "Hello, fangirls. Hera and Kanan remind me quite a bit of another duo, Hawkeye and Black Widow. Like Hera and Kanan, we know Hawkeye and Black Widow have been through a lot together, much of it untold to us, the audience. The fact that they are so close without being a romantic couple is an indication of how much they have survived together and how much they depend on each other. In one of the comics, Hawkeye refers to Black Widow as his work wife. I think Kanan could make the same reference to Hera, considering their roles in the rebellion and how much he relies on her. Have you noticed when Kanan does dumb things, Hera is more upset with him? See when Lando won Chopper? See, she relies on Kanan, and if she has taken on a mother-type role to their band of rebels, he is definitely supposed to be the father-like figure, and really, he should not encourage the kids to do stupid things. As far as them being romantically tied, their bond goes beyond that of just friends, and they are both trying to save the galaxy from the Empire. Whether they are dating or not is irrelevant. If that's dink, that's quote fingers, space married, I am all for it. It's great that a dink kids show can have such a complex and deep relationship between a male and female character without it automatically defaulting to a romantic one. Love the show, ladies. Keep up the great work. Can't wait to fangirl flail with you at Celebration. And Amanda is at Werewolf Cowgirl on Twitter. So I think she sums it up beautifully, to be perfectly honest, because I'm fighting the whole, super in love, hearts coming out of their heads type of, relationship. But I think she describes the relationship that I believe they had to a T.
No, I think that's great. And she brings up some great examples of that. So I agree with you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we have a few events to recap that have happened since we last recorded. So first up, Sarah, you have the floor now to tell us all about the Star Wars Half Marathon weekend at Disneyland. So what was it like?
Oh my goodness. So basically this was kind of like a mini Star Wars celebration because you're at Disneyland, you have all these like-minded Star Wars people coming in to the Disneyland premises, and not 3 minutes after we arrived at the expo, the Health and Fitness Expo where you pick up your packets and everything, we met like 3 Skywalkers, so people who listen to Skywalking Through Neverland, and it was very exciting, and everyone was just there and caught up in the moment. And so I signed up for all 3 races, which are the 5K, the 10K, and the half. Then what happens is very early in the morning on Friday, the 5K began. But before that, we had to, of course, make some awesome costumes. So you had mentioned, Teresa, that you had seen some costumes, some tweets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we ended up...
The costume I made last minute because I didn't know what to do. Don't ever say that to me again. Because you were like the epic costume maker. Like, oh, I have to make a costume in 5 minutes. Bam, BB-8.
Well, that did not take 5 minutes. In fact, that was my husband Richard's brainchild. He had the brainchild for making BB-8 costumes for me, and him. And my dad and mom flew into town the Tuesday before, and my dad is an engineer. So what Richard said was, hey, Sarah's dad, I want to make these costumes, and can you help? Like the minute he got in from the plane. And so between my dad, mom, Richard, and I, we painted and we made them, and dad engineered them. We made the BB-8 costumes, and we had a ball rolling them the 3.1 miles through Disneyland on Friday morning. And as you mentioned, you may have seen pictures of me because actually StarWars.com tweeted them out. They were shared by Amy Ratcliffe on the Nerdist.com, and also the Comlink on their new YouTube channel. They posted our pictures as well. So it kind of gained some awesome traction in the social media universe.
Yeah, though they were great costumes. I mean, they looked like, it might be heavy to wear, but yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. And what was really funny was the range of comments we got from people, once we started rolling along the course, you'd get people going, oh my gosh, that's awesome. People who knew right away who we were. And to the people who were going, who are you?
So you guys were obviously running. Did the side spun?
Yes. What happened was they're attached by our waist, and they had a little bar that came out from the waist that was horizontal, and what you could do is just spin that bar as you walked or ran. So the 2 round sides we kind of looked like TIE fighters, honestly, because yeah. So in fact, some people at first, before they saw the design on the sides, were like, oh, TIE fighters, So that's how they kind of worked, is you'd spin them at your waist while you were walking and running, and it was really fun.
Now, did you guys have costumes for the 10K and the half?
Yes. For the 10K, I was R2-D2, but I had already had that costume previously from last year, the Tinkerbell half. And then for the half marathon, Richard and I decided to be Vader and Lady Vader. So we like to do matching costumes and then cross the finish line holding hands. It's a special moment.
That's too cute.
Yeah. Oh, and I just want to say that if you want to hear more about the Star Wars celebration or the Star Wars Half Marathon weekend on Skywalking Through Neverland, we have lots of more fun stories to tell. We also interviewed several runners and cosplayers during the weekend, and also Shannon Abeta, who happens to be in charge of managing the entire event. So it was really cool to hear her war stories, and that's all on episode 63 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Awesome. Now, Tricia, while all of this has been going on, you had the opportunity or the privilege, actually, to go to the opening of the new exhibit at the EMP Museum in Seattle, Rebel, Jedi, Princess, Queen, Star Wars, and the Power of Costume. So can you please tell us all about that? Because I know you got to do something awesome.
I know Teresa knows what I got to do because we had a little phone call during the middle of that.
Yeah, me going, I get to go to Celebration. Why is she not answering the phone? I'm most important right now. Oh, no, I'm not.
Well, and the phone rang. It was a funny thing because I thought I had put my volume down on my phone. And Teresa's phone call came to say that she was going to get to go to Celebration while I was sitting there interviewing Anthony Daniels about this exhibit. I know. So it's like, oh, sorry, 3PO. My comm link's going off. Yes, no. So to back that up a little bit. So this is the exhibit that the Smithsonian and Lucasfilm are doing. And it's also part of the Lucas Archive. And this is going to go around all around the country for several years. So it's not just going to be in Seattle, but it'll be in Seattle through October next year. And they have taken the costumes out of the Lucasfilm archives and set them up in these amazing, beautiful displays. You can check out some pictures at, I put some up, gave some to Rebel Force Radio. I have some on our Fangirls Going Rogue Facebook page. I have some up on my Fangirl Zone. So different pictures of the costumes that were set up. So they had media day on Thursday and originally had been Friday. So I sent the media contacts and said, I'm planning on coming in on Friday. I'm going to miss the media event. And I said, no worries. We'll just arrange it at 10 o'clock. You can come in on Friday. So I got a tour with the curator and he's showing me the costumes. I'm utterly amazed, blown away by this, that you can almost walk up to them. You can't touch them. And most of them are not behind glass. They are literally, you can see everything. And you can't even begin to describe the artistry on these costumes. I mean, I know you see them on the film and they look amazing, but then when you see them up close, especially Padme's costumes and just the world building that had to go into, where they researched different cultures and kind of weave them into everything. So the media contact comes over. This was Jen from, she was from the Smithsonian, who actually gave me this new Jennifer Schomer, who I'm eternally grateful to. She says, I know you're getting this nice private tour, but Mr. Anthony Daniels has some time he could talk to you about the exhibit. Because he was doing the opening. And literally, luckily they gave me chair to sit in, and he sat in the chair across from me, because I would have literally just fallen to the floor like a pile of goo. Just because it was so amazing. And he talked to me for a little over half an hour about Star Wars. It will be an interview that will come out to Star Wars Insider. And, we'll have a little bit of a write-up on hopefully StarWars.com that I talked to them about for the grand opening party that was at night that he hosted. But this was just, he is so excited about Star Wars that it's one of those things that you can't, he was genuinely thrilled to be part of it, to talking about the costumes. And when you think about it, 3PO is in a lot of the scenes with Padme. So he's been with a lot of these costumes, and obviously the older costumes that, most of the original trilogy scenes too, it seems like. So he's seen all these costumes and been through them all, and just so genuinely excited. He praised for Harrison Ford's enthusiasm, praised for Daisy Ridley, praised for Carrie Fisher. I mean, I was just amazed at how excited he was to talk about the next movie. He didn't really say much, just that he's so excited to be part of it and still being with it. 39 years he's been part of Star Wars. So,
wow. I have a couple of questions. Sorry.
Yeah.
Did you do an audio interview or did you just write stuff down?
I recorded it because there's no way I could have remembered it. But yeah, it's recorded, so it'll be, transcribed and sort of talk about the event.
Okay, for Insider?
Yes.
Cool.
One of the really cool things about the way they set the costumes up was that they had a little fun with them. Like, they had Zam, Wessel, and Han Solo kind of squared off like they were in a showdown, kind of like an old Western. So those characters never meet each other in the movies, but just the way they were displayed up in there. And so they were sort of telling their own stories with the costumes themselves. So it was fun to see that. And they all said that Lucasfilm let them play a little bit with it, which I thought was really neat too, because sometimes, they used to be that brands were really protective, and it's not, they were very reverent, but still kind of putting their own little flair on it.
Well, I think it's really cool because I saw Star Wars in concert twice, and I remember seeing some of those costumes and stuff, and I saw the Ewoks and everything, and I was like, oh my God, they're so amazing! So if it's anything like that or better, then oh my God, it's so amazing!
Well, one thing you will like is that Anthony Daniels did talk about Star Wars in concerts in our conversation. So that was one of the things he discussed. And then also there was Billy D. Williams, he did a select oral history presentation where the curator of the museum talked to him about Star Wars and his career, and he is so amazing. And I just can't even believe how thoughtful, intelligent. He's an amazing, accomplished artist, which I had heard Jimmy Mack talk about, but when he was talking about it, it was amazing how much he has done as an artist. I had no idea how accomplished he was.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
Like painting art or?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah, I've heard him. He visited Austin and he did Wizard World Austin. And I went to his panel and it was completely packed. And he talked about, all of his theater and all of his art and his music and everything else that he does. I mean, he is like a thespian of all thespians. He's amazing.
Yes. And just so smart and funny and humble. He's, talks about being from a working class family and just working really hard. And he's a great little moment where he talked about Irvin Kershner coming to his house to get him to be in Empire Strikes Back. And they were sitting there just talking about Eastern philosophy and Star Wars. And he says, back in the day, directors didn't come to your house. Like, you went to see the director and you got kind of put through the ringer, but here he is. So that's kind of tells you how, they wanted Billy D for this part, and he definitely makes Lando the guy that he is.
Totally.
So if you guys are that's the Northwest Seattle area, it's beautiful. The EMP Museum's there. I can't even begin to just put into words how amazing the display is, but it will be coming around the country. So when it comes to you, this is your chance to literally feel like you're in the universe of Star Wars with these amazing, because the costumes are their own characters in a way, just in how beautiful they are. And I think what Anthony Daniels summed up is to really appreciate that they are a fine art in and of themselves and deserve to be in museums. It's, 1,000 years from now, people will be looking at those costumes, hopefully remembering Star Wars, just like we talk about the Odyssey and Shakespeare and whatnot today.
Oh, I believe it. It's such a cultural phenomenon. It's awesome. Well, I want to actually transition now. Now, if you want to go visit Seattle, that's where the exhibit is, correct?
Yes.
Tricia? Well, in April, of course, we have Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, California, and we are going to do a fangirl flail.
Yep, it's official.
It's official, all three of us. And we have to set a time for a fangirl flail, where everyone can come in one place. We have to videotape it, but we want some ideas on how to do this. So if listeners, if you have some ideas on what time or when you'd like to do the fangirl flail or where to do it, we'd love to call on you. So please email us or tweet at us at FG Going Rogue to let us know what and how we should do with that.
Yeah, just any type of ideas like the queue line or, before, after the convention, or if people want to do it like down at the parks or out in front of the convention hall. Anybody who's got an idea and has a thought on it, we're just trying to get these ideas, put them all together. So we're in the big planning process, but a lot of people have asked us that they would like to be able to join together and show, that we all are fangirls, even the fanboys. So
yeah, this is for everybody. It's not just for girls. We want to have like a massive fangirl flail, kind of like how you guys have seen like the masses of Leia's that get together.
Yes, the Slave Leia groups. Yes,
the Slave Leia group. So we kind of want to do something like that. So if you guys can just come up with ideas for us, there is one caveat though. We cannot do it on Thursday because I will not be there yet. So anywhere from Friday forward works.
Well, okay, so one idea I had is that we can do the fangirl flail, or at least one fangirl flail, at our celebration podcast stage appearance. It's I know, fangirl flail. It's very exciting. We just got word from Mary Franklin at Lucasfilm that we will be hosting a podcast stage appearance on Saturday. That is April 18th from 3 to 4 p.m. So all three of us will be there, including some guests. Tricia, why don't you tell us about our guests?
Yes, we're going to have, Geek K, who was our first voicemail, will be there reporting on some merchandise. We'll talk merchandise because we're at the convention. You have to talk merchandise. And also Aaron Goins, who is Teresa's co-host on Star Wars Bookworms. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk with him, right? Books, comics.
Oh, we'll have tons.
All that kind of stuff.
Yes,
and then also
everything.
Everything. And then we'll also have Jonah Marie from the Wookiee Gunner will be there to join us. And maybe some more fun guests. We'll be trying to round people up. You know, right now the schedules are all in flux, but I'm hoping we'll get some more people to stop by, and it'll be a really fun time to interact. That's Saturday, guys. That's a main day, big day.
Main day. And it's at a really prime time too, like 3:00 in the afternoon. That's good. So we're excited. We are super excited. And also, while we're talking about that, let's just also note Skywalking Through Neverland will be, they got accepted for the podcast stage, and you guys are from 3 to 4 on Friday.
Yes,
correct?
Indeed. We are super excited about that too. So yeah, in fact, I'm working on buttons for Skywalking Through Neverland, and I'm working on a fangirl flail button. Now, if you find us somewhere on the convention floor, or perhaps if you show up at our podcast stage on Saturday, you might be getting a button.
Mm-hmm. Now, another thing, if you're going to go to Skywalking Through Neverland, then you better not leave your seat, because following them right up at 4:30 is Star Wars Bookworms. We will be from 4:30 to 5:30, and I can tell you right now, we will have Star Wars Bookworms buttons that you can get from us if you find us on the con floor. But we will also have a special, exclusive, limited edition celebration button that you can only get if you come to our podcast stage. So we're super excited. We've got some awesome guests for that. Mark Newbold from Radio 1138 and Jedi News, and Jedi Schwa from Techno Retro Dads, and just overall fan awesomeness. So it's going to be a good time. Good time had by all.
Woohoo! So exciting.
God. There's so cool that all these podcasters are going to have a chance to get this out there and talk to meet new fans.
Yes. Yeah, it's so exciting. Having just done a podcast meetup, it's really neat to put faces with names, like people who've been tweeting you for years, you know? And you're like, oh, that's you, you know? So it's very cool. I'm so excited.
Exactly. So one of the things that we wanted to do to help people get ready for celebration, and maybe to get our brains thinking about it too, was we wanted to start planning, because you have to have special things when you go to celebration, ways that kind of express your fangirl flair. We need a new hashtag, I decided.
Ooh.
We're going to do this 3-part segment. And Amy Ratcliffe is from The Nerdist and from Full of Sith is going to join us. We're going to talk about planning what we're going to make to celebrate our fangirl flair and try to get everybody in the thought process. So let's listen to that segment with Amy. Welcome, Amy, to our little segment on creating your own fangirl flair.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I don't know if expert applies, but I'm certainly enthusiastic, and I think that makes up for a lot.
100% perspiration and 1% something. I forget.
Exactly. Whatever that really smart guy said, he's probably right.
Yep.
Well, I know that you do a lot on StarWars.com and on Geek With Curves. You've done a lot of different things at conventions. So what are some of the ideas of things people could do to share their own little fangirl style when you're getting to a convention?
Sure. Something I really, when I'm working at conventions, or even if I just have a lot of running around to do a full-on costume, isn't quite the option for me that it once was. And also, it's a lot of work, and I get lazy. So I try to look for like smaller things that I can add to everyday outfits. So, painted shoes are a great idea because you can paint. You can paint them look like droids. You can paint symbols on them. You can paint any kind of shoe. So those are always a good option. Making giant statement jewelry. I love giant rings. You can turn micro machines, Star Wars micro machines, into rings like in less than 5 minutes. I also think about hair wear. I don't wear a lot of bows, but I like to wear headbands. I like to wear them for about 2 hours before I remember that headbands hurt and I shouldn't wear them.
And they give you a headache.
Exactly. But for those 2 hours, I really like to wear headbands, and it's really easy to decoupage them with all your like favorite characters or quotes.
I actually did the decoupage heels one time following your instructions. So, but they are not convenient for running around conventions. So they're good for taking to a party, putting them on, and then taking them off when you're done quickly. So.
Okay, I have a question. What is decoupage?
I don't know the technical definition, but it's my super fancy definition is taking paper material and attaching it to stuff.
Okay.
Usually with a medium. I love Mod Podge. You can get it at any craft store, and it seals as well, but sometimes I'll put sealant on over it. But you basically, like, if you want to decoupage, let's just say a headband, you cut up comics or images from Star Wars Insider or pictures you print off the internet of high quality, cut them up, put them where you want it on the headband, and slap a thin layer of Mod Podge over it and let it dry.
Awesome.
It's like magic.
Awesome. So say, Tricia, you could cut out your article in Star Wars Insider and put it on a headband and be like, yeah, that was me.
It's always fun. I told somebody that I was going to do I did the X-Wing comics for my heels, but I couldn't cut a comic up. I felt like it was like sacrilege. So I put it on a color copier and copied the pages, and it actually came out. You can't tell, the Mod Podge shines it up really nice. So when it's all on there, it's hard to tell that you copied it. But I didn't actually cut up any comics. No comics were harmed in the making of my shoes. But
that's a good idea.
It's another form of art.
Exactly.
And one of the things, too, that you have to decide early on is, so what do you want to be your flair? Like, do you want it to be Ewoks, or like I talked about, the X-Wing comics, or maybe it's Luke Skywalker or R2-D2. Amy did the chopper shoes, which I thought were really cool, and we'll share a link to that on the show notes. So what do you think, Sarah, would be something that you want to flare up for celebration?
Okay, well, I did see the Chopper shoes, and while I like Chopper, I think R2's colors are just the best ever, and they go with a lot of outfits that I already have. So I think I would honestly love to do the R2 shoes, like paint my own shoes.
That's a great idea.
How about you, Amy? Do you have anything that's been inspiring you recently?
I think I want to do, if I can find enough pictures, I would like to do just a general Rebels themed, probably, I don't know, either flats or maybe a headband, or maybe a purse too, since I don't wear headbands for longer than 2 hours. But yeah, I'm thinking Rebels, just the whole crew.
Well, my thing that I wanted to do was BB-8. So I like the colors and the look, and I think it'll be something new and different that I can hold on to. So I'm actually been inspired to do the flats, the shoes. So BB-8's going to be my my flair. For the first segment, we're just encouraging people to think of what they want to be for their flair, and then discussing the materials. So we were going to go over the painted shoes, the micro machine rings, and also and decoupage headbands. So Amy, if you're going to do the shoes, what do people need to start looking for now if they want to do that?
So if you're going to do painted shoes, keep an eye out for the type of shoes you want. When you're using acrylic paint, I think it's best to go like with fabric shoes, like Tom's or, a knockoff version of Tom's, or any canvas shoes. I think they just take the paint better. And then you want to gather acrylic paints that kind of match whatever theme you're doing. So Sarah, if you're doing R2-D2 shoes, you want to get, blue and silver and red, and you want to make sure to get, you probably have a permanent marker on hand, but you're going to need a permanent marker at some point unless you have a really steady hand and can paint thin lines, which I can't.
Okay. Actually, I do a lot of face painting, so I'm pretty good at that.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, I have to use for anything I do that has black outlines, I have to use a Sharpie because
gotcha.
I just have to. So that's really it. And then it's not a bad idea to get some kind of, you can usually get a spray or a brush on sealant so that your shoes, I wouldn't wear them out like in the middle of a monsoon, but if you put sealant on them, they should be pretty protected. And that's not really going to be the biggest problem in Southern California, probably.
And then how about for like the rings or the jewelry, is there a good place to look for the micro machines and for also the rings that you might use to create them?
Yeah, absolutely. Micro machines, I tend to look just on eBay, and you can get, they have ones, they did a whole line of ones that look like pewter. And for the longest time before I owned any, I thought they were pewter, which doesn't really make sense for jewelry because it's heavy, but they're plastic. So you can have, just a silver Millennium Falcon, or you can get the actual, the mini replicas that are painted and everything. And then the other two supplies you need, you can get at any craft store. You need a glue like E6000. E6000 is just a good glue to have or a good adhesive to have in your craft kit. It smells awful, so you only want to use it with the windows open and not in a closed hotel room like I have done before. And ring bases, which you can find in the jewelry section. They're usually just like the cheapo, like they have an adjustable back and like a circle base on the front. They usually come in bags of like 5 to 10, and they're like a few bucks, if that.
And then the headbands, it's really you want a wide headband so you can, if you decoupage that, then you have something that people can actually see. And those are usually found where?
I found wide ones at Target before and Walgreens, so those are pretty easy to find.
Great. Everybody go get your materials, get ready. And in the next month's episode, we're going to talk a little bit more how to make them and some pointers to help you finish this up and get your stuff ready for celebration. So counting down, we're only 2 months away from celebration. So time to start planning.
Shout it out to the social media from Teresa and Tricia and Sarah. Shout it out, fangirl shout outs.
All right, it's shout out time. Here we go. Actually, our first shout out this month is we hit 1,000 likes on Facebook.
Woo! That is so exciting. That's like a huge milestone. Huge.
Super huge. Super. So thanks to everyone who recommended us or shared us on social media. I know a bunch of people were tweeting, and it's exciting.
Also, on January 31st, one of our fangirl sisters was the fangirl of the day for her universe. So a big shout out to Bethany Blanton. I call her my baby sister from the Star Wars Report. She is amazing, and she got to be the fangirl of the day. So head on over to heruniverse.com where you can actually go and see all of the girls that have been Fangirl of the Day. I know that I have had the pleasure of it. Tricia has. I don't know if you have, Sarah, yet, but if you haven't,
yes, I have.
Oh, you have? Okay, so we all have. Woohoo!
Yay!
Well, and I think that's how I really got to know Sarah, was through Fangirl of the Day.
That's right.
One of our sort of introduction points. So thank you, Her Universe, for bringing the community together.
Absolutely.
If you have a fangirl to nominate, you can go to heruniverse.com. They want you to go on there and nominate your fellow fangirl of any age, and you can even nominate yourself. So go to their website and nominate your favorite fangirl. Also, good friend of the show, Jonah Marie Macias, was the Flaunt Your World Instagram winner for Her Universe, I believe, this just the other day. And so basically what you do for that is you post a picture on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook and hashtag it with Flaunt Your World, and you will make the Her Universe style board. And one fangirl is chosen, I believe, every month, and you get a $50 gift card to Her Universe if you are chosen. So make sure you're posting pictures of yourself and your Her Universe or geeky gear and hashtag it with Flaunt Your World.
And we want to give a special shout out to Roku Depot, which is a Star Wars sci-fi and fantasy website. They've been a big part of the book and comics community for a long time. And Skuldrin on Roku Depot listens to a bunch of Star Wars podcasts every week, and he reviews them. And so he gives you sort of like a idea of what the episodes are about, what he enjoyed, and, you know, what he recommends to go listen to. So I sent this to Teresa and Sarah. He said, for his review of episode 15 reveals their newest member, Sarah Wolowski, thus creating the fangirl trifecta of awesomeness. Seriously, these are my 3 favorite female podcasters, and now they're all in one show. A listener could not ask for more. Well, maybe one more Amy Ratcliffe. Who
Bam! We just gave it to you.
And lots of fun and plenty of great topics. So, Skuldrin, hopefully we made your day with all these people. So, anyway, thanks so much for the kind words, because you definitely made our days with that.
Yes.
Well, now, guys, I'm thrilled to tell you that we have on the show with us, joining us for the very first time, hopefully and many more to come, one of the most amazing women out there and a brilliant fangirl. She's behind Legion of Leia, and that would be Jenna Busch. So let's welcome her onto the show. Hey, Jenna.
Thanks for having me.
We were so excited to get a chance to talk to you, specifically because of Legion of Leia, which I still have my avatar on Twitter is her emote icon for her, for that sort of cause that you started. So tell us a little bit about the site, why you started it, what was the inspiration, and what you hope to achieve.
Well, when I started this site, I was out having dinner with a friend, and the Star Wars casting news had just come out. And at the time, there was only one new female character where there were 7 new male characters. Now, this has since changed, which is amazing. But back then, I was, needless to say, a little annoyed because I was like, you know, Star Wars has been around for decades, and it's no secret that there are plenty of female fans. So I wrote a blog post about it, but I wanted to do something different. So we're out having dinner talking about how we both dressed up as Princess Leia when we were kids, and that everybody we knew probably had the same picture of themselves with the buns. And decided to start this site called Legion of Leia because one of the things I said in the blog post is that we are Legion. And I wanted to do something that wasn't just complaining. I wanted to be positive, and I wanted to start a community for fangirls, for women in sci-fi. And so I started by interviewing a lot of geek celebrities. Ashley Eckstein from Clone Wars, who started Her Universe. Really, she's an awesome chick. We talked to Adrienne Curry, who's a huge Star Wars fangirl. Jane Espenson, who wrote Buffy, Once Upon a Time, Battlestar Galactica, all of that. So in about August, I thought, you know what I do for a living is write geek news stories. So I'm going to do it with this sort of twist, catering to fangirls. What ended up happening is that about half our readership is male. And I keep hearing stories from guys who either want to weigh in on this discussion or say, like, I've got a sister, daughter, wife, whatever, who is into this stuff. And I appreciate that you're doing this. So it's sort of exploded since I started it.
We a lot of our listenership is men, and we have especially during the holidays, we got a lot of tweets from people who were like, they were sharing stuff with their daughters with all the stuff they got for Star Wars, and how they wanted to enjoy it with them. So it's always nice to see that really the Legion is fangirls and fanboys.
Yeah, it's funny. I've talked about this before, but I did a signing at Nashville Comic Con, and I did a panel on women in media. And we were talking about this sort of thing, and I had a lot of women come up to me with their sons and say things like, "I want my son to not just look up to male characters, but I want him to look up to female characters too. Just like my daughter likes Batman, I want my son to like Wonder Woman." And I had one woman bring up her son's teeny tiny little boy in a Captain America shirt, and she said, "Tell her what you wanted to tell her." And he said, "I didn't want the Guardians of the Galaxy t-shirt because Gamora wasn't on it."
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was like, after I wipe away the tears, we can high five.
No, but it's so good. I mean, I have 2 nephews, and they're into Star Wars and all that stuff, but they notice when the girls aren't featured prominently, and they say something to me about it. So, I think if we bring them up right, they notice it and they'll be aware of it, and they can pass that on.
Yeah, and I also want to see things like, My Little Pony being acceptable for little boys to like. And I don't know if you know, but I do the voiceovers for the My Little Pony trailers.
Do you really?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, I am okay. We will talk later. I'm the Pegasister in this group, so
nice. Yes, the pony voice is quite terrifying. I have freaked out many people with it.
What is your pony voice?
Okay, here's a little thing. Join Twilight Sparkle and all her pony friends.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Pony voice.
You have no idea. Like right now I'm going, yay!
Well, and that's one of the things that I have a lot of people with sons who love My Little Pony, and so I don't want to just make it acceptable for little girls to be into what is traditionally considered guy things. It should go both ways.
Yeah, I agree. So tell us a little bit how you got into Star Wars to begin with.
Well, I am, please don't do the math, old enough to have seen the first film. I mean, I was really, really, really little, but I was in the theater with my parents. I don't remember seeing it there, but I remember getting the book when I went home and then seeing it on TV. So I was blown away by Princess Leia. I made fake blasters because you could still sell toy guns back then. So I had a blaster, which I had to beg for. I had all of the action figures. People were sort of surprised that I wanted ones that weren't just Princess Leia. But this was around the time, too, of Battle of the Planets. So there was a character called Princess who reminded me of Princess Leia. And I was the only girl in my neighborhood. So I got to play Princess Leia pretty much anytime Star Wars came up. And I loved it. There was something so amazing about it. And it was very different from the other female characters that I was seeing on TV and in films. She saved herself. She was amazing. She was a senator. She did all this cool stuff. I mean, I made her necklace out of foil, the necklace she wears at the end, out of foil and string. And I also made Wonder Woman bracers out of Scotch tape and yellow magic marker. So I was clearly into this all very young.
Yeah, and speaking of, now you've brought Star Wars to today. What does being a fangirl mean to you?
Wow, it's funny because it's, on the outside, you sort of wish you didn't even have to say fangirl versus fanboy. You sort of like saying, oh, a female director. Well, she's just a director, or a female singer, or female producer, or something like that. So in theory, I wish we could all just be fans, but at the same time, it's a really important movement, and it's really important for girls to see that they're not alone in their interests. 47% of comic book fans are women. Almost half of the Guardians of the Galaxy opening weekend audience was women, which is strange because they didn't exactly market to us. Part of it is changing perception, and not, like I said, not just for little girls, but for little boys to look up to Black Widow or Gamora or something, and that you don't differentiate between who's stronger. Or like today, there was an announcement about Marvel doing an all-female Avengers team, which is fantastic. Cool. However, it shouldn't be that much of a shock, because you wouldn't say, oh, they're doing an all-male Avengers team. you know. And I mean, I think it's amazing that they're doing it. There was a piece in Time magazine today, and they were talking about why it's a big deal, and it's, you know, Marvel is talking about, oh, it wouldn't be such a shock, but it shouldn't be a shock. I've loved Avengers since I was a little kid. I've been reading comic books since I was a little kid. But so, I mean, this is getting back to your question. That's sort of how I feel about being a fangirl. I love it. I wish it didn't have to be qualified. But because it does still at this point, I am really proud to be part of this amazing group of women. And since starting Legion of Leia, I've met a lot. And, you know, whether I've been signing at cons or doing panels, and it's been amazing. We're a pretty cool group of chicks.
I'd say so. We always like to kind of disarm our guests with a question and see what kind of crazy answer we get. But we ask, what's something that you think is maybe underappreciated or underrated about Star Wars that maybe you would like to highlight to people who, you know, are new to Star Wars? If you would tell them something that they could appreciate, they might not know.
Oh, well, okay. I'm doing a project that I'm not really allowed to talk about yet, but it has something to do with Jedis. And I've recently been studying a lot of the history of Jedis in both the movie universe, the video game universe, and the extended universe, which, you know, obviously a lot of that won't be part of the film series that's coming out. But some of the history of Jedis is really interesting, and I've had to rewatch the prequels, but it's really interesting to watch. You're taking young children and you're saying, hey, kid, you're going to never act out on strong emotion, and you're going to be, if not celibate, not married or anything like that. And then you take somebody like Anakin, you say, hey, you're the chosen one. So you already make him think he's super, super special. Then you say, oh, no, I don't think we can train him. So you already made him rebellious. But then you train him anyway. And then when he's 15, you throw him alone into a room after telling him we can't be in love with people like that. Throw him in a room alone with Amidala while he stands there protecting her with no one else around and say, don't hook up. So
while she's wearing this outfit.
I know, right? So, like, there is pretty much no better way to ensure that they're going to hook up. So if you watch the prequels, and I'm so sorry for recommending this, but if you watch all three of them, you can sort of see that the Jedis have completely gone against their own principles and lost any sense of intuition about what they're doing. And so they've actually caused this to happen.
That's actually something I point out a lot. I am, out of this group, probably, I am the prequel advocate because I love them. And I love history of like the Jedi Order, and like the Old Republic is my favorite time period. So I've pointed this out to people a lot. So thank you.
You're welcome. It was really fascinating to watch that, and to watch, you know, when you take a child and train them as a Jedi, you're not really giving them much of a choice. Whereas you have somebody like Luke in 4, 5, and 6, who is a young adult and making a choice and choosing this path rather than having it forced on him.
That's very interesting you say that, because whenever Yoda said you're too old to begin the training, I always thought that was a weird response. I thought you needed to be an adult to become a Jedi when I first saw the original trilogy. So it just never made sense to me that you would train a really young kid until, you know, you start reading the books or the EU or you know, watching the prequel trilogy. You know,
sometimes like, you know, for especially I'm more Jenna's age, and as looking at sort of way a lot of the original trilogy was really natural, especially the way Han and Leia happened. And some of the prequel trilogy, I think we just didn't understand what was happening. But as far as George Lucas reverse engineering, yeah, how this would have happened to somebody, and really showing that somebody, you know, this group of people that were supposed to be a force for good ended up not really being able to do that and kind of creating their own monster. And I mean, when you lay out, it was like, oh man, they just did a lot of things the wrong way. And of course, hindsight's probably all we're looking back at some point going to go, oh man, we really messed up. At least the ones, you know, Yoda and Obi-Wan, which maybe is why they left Luke with, you know, this strong kind of family foundation, to hope that the family would create more of this, you know, moral compass that Luke obviously had in the end. It's definitely something that I appreciate, that, you know, they showed somebody who's we think's really good. Maybe we should make sure and question sometimes that they stay on that good path. So.
Yeah, and it's thinking about, part of it is thinking about the overarching picture of government and civilization. And one of the, I can't remember which book it is, but Mace Windu says, like, Jedi aren't about peace, we're about civilization, because civilization brings peace. And there are certain points, like, say, when you're dealing with something like Darth Revan, and I know I'm going into the EU here, but if you're talking about Darth Revan, like, the Jedi Council wasn't dealing with individuals anymore. They weren't dealing with people. They were dealing with moving the chess pieces of government, and that's what caused the Jedi Civil War. And so and I think that happened in the prequels as well. They were not concerned so much about caring about people, but more about twisting things within the government.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Well, so this week you actually wrote an article for the Metro, and it was about girls and superhero toys, and that is something right in my wheelhouse. So tell us a little bit about that article and where the inspiration for it came from.
So I was approached to start writing a weekly column for Metro about women in Hollywood, largely the geek part of entertainment. And this is something that has been frustrating me for a long time, but it really sort of came to a head with Where's Gamora? So when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, you're seeing all kinds of shirts with everybody on the team except Gamora. You were seeing lunch boxes with everybody on the team except Gamora, as if boys won't buy the shirt or the lunchbox if one girl happens to be on it. When you went to look up, and I did this, I went to look up where I can buy Gamora toys, and on Amazon at that time there were 3, whereas Star-Lord had like 27, and Drax had like 15, and Gamora had 3, and one of them was part of a set with other characters. And there was a hashtag that Amy Ratcliffe started called Where's Gamora, and I wrote about it pretty extensively, and it sort of went from there. So we were talking about T-shirts, where a few years ago, DC had a shirt for boys that said, I want to be a hero. And the shirt for girls, corresponding, said, I need a hero. That, I was just out training to be Batman's wife. And it's really frustrating, because for every little girl's shirt that says training to be a superhero, there are 20 that say something sexist. And it's frustrating going into Target and saying like, hey, there's no Black Widow toys and no Gamora toys. Hey, where's Princess Leia? Everything else seems to be here. And it's funny. So somebody who had worked from publicity around Hasbro sent me a message on Facebook saying, it's marketing, and those are the ones that don't sell. And I'm like, it's funny, because every time I walk into a Target, those are the ones that aren't there. And in my Target, they're like, hey, well, they're sold out. And we are here and we will buy the toys, but the other part of it is that you need to bring the toys out so they're there, so they're represented. Like, you can't keep splitting toy into trucks and cars and princesses and Barbie. That's when you do that sort of thing, it really creates a problem. I had been working with Carrie Goldman. If you're not familiar with her, a number of years ago, it was 4 years ago now, her first grade daughter, Katie, was bullied for liking Star Wars. She had a Star Wars water bottle, and a bunch of boys told her, that's a boy's thing. That's a boy's water bottle. You can't carry that. And so she and I had done an interview about it, because she wrote a story, and she talked about coming up, like, all these people there was such support from the Star Wars community, and both men and women talking about how this was for everyone, not just boys. And they were given a lot of toys, and so she wanted to start a donation. And one of the things that I said was, like, you really need to mark these toys. It was Wear Star Wars, Share Star Wars Day. So you wear a Star Wars shirt and you donate a sci-fi toy. But I was like, you have to mark it for a boy or a girl, because as long as we keep telling impressionable young kids that pink is for girls, trucks are for boys, and you can't cross, you don't start that young, it becomes an ingrained thing. And you can see, like, you got a nephew and someone gives them a Barbie doll, and you can see somebody look a little uncomfortable about it. And like, why?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and the other thing is, we thought we got through all that, and we had a huge discussion when this whole interview I did came out on Huffington Post 4 years ago. And then Star Wars Rebels comes out. It's got some kick-ass chicks in it. And then all of the boy toys come out first, where there was such an outcry that they had to say, look, no, seriously, we're going to bring out the girl ones. Sabine and Hera are coming. And you're like, well, then why didn't you bring them out to begin with?
Yeah, I know a little bit about that.
Yeah,
about that. That may or may not have been started by me.
Yes, Teresa was a big advocate on Jedi News for that, and she definitely kicked up some dust, to say the least, about that. But we're so excited because actually today on the Hollywood Reporter they had an article about toys and it being such a big part of the industry and the business. And Sabine's action figure was featured on the headline image on the top of that article. So we were really excited to see her get some love there on a major industry website. So
it makes a huge difference. It really does. And because that's the thing. Like if I go into the store and I'm a little kid and I see that there aren't any toys for me in the Star Wars section, what am I going to do? Not get a toy? No, I'm going to turn somewhere else.
Well, my friend's son actually asked about why Sabine wasn't in one of the play sets. He didn't understand because he sees the show and knows she's an integral part of the team. So he noticed that. So I think kids are actually smarter than we give them credit for too. So
yeah, I totally agree.
Are. And we're dealing with a couple of things here when it comes to toys too, and then being in stores. Period. First of all, we're not seeing much of anything from Hasbro on the shelves in any of their lines at this point in time. And so I go into Target or Walmart, and there's almost nothing there but empty pegs. So either they're not putting out enough merchandise, and so they're selling out of it, and there's nothing there, or they're just not supplying the stores. And it's hard to understand, how are you going to remedy this situation when you as the company are not putting enough out there? We all have money and we're all willing to spend it. And I go to the store and every time I go and look, and I can't buy it if it's not there. I can't even buy a Rebels action figure. I've seen them in stores maybe once. And today there was a tweet that somebody actually found a Sabine in a store. And I was like, yay, you actually found a Sabine. But also, you actually found Rebels toys.
Yes.
Yeah. Really? I've never had a problem finding the Rebels toys. But what I find interesting, I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here. Because I grew up, my parents, I was an only child, and my parents would always give me girl and guy toys. Like, it didn't matter. So now I'm kind of a person who would rather have the Han Solo or the Thor or the Anakin action figure, and I pretend I'm the girl. But I've never been drawn to the female action figures I've seen, just because I always thought that maybe the girl character sculpt seemed off to me. Now, Jenna, do you think like that sculpt has something to do with the fact that mostly men sculpt the molds?
I do, and I also know, I just went up to Rancho Obi-Wan, which is, obviously, you guys know, this amazing collection of Star Wars toys, memorabilia, fan art, things like that. And some of the older Princess Leia figures are obviously male characters with a female head. And you're like, was it so hard to just make a female face? And that was done quite a bit. I think some of the sculpts were frustrating. And also, there is the thing, okay, so if you guys recall the Spider-Woman variant cover with the butt in the air and the obvious latex paint. Yeah. So, I got so much crap for that. All I tweeted was, that's not how cloth works. And that was it. But there is something about the way we sculpt female characters. If we're talking about, we're overdoing it and we're getting like the huge boobs and like wasp waists, well, like Barbie. Sometimes that's going to be attractive to some people. Sometimes that's not. But I do often think that a lot of the female sculpts leave something to be desired. They only really spend any good time with that on traditionally girl toys. Mm. And it is funny because, like, if you go into, say, the Frozen section, because my niece is very into Frozen, there are certain Elsa and Anna dolls that have pleasant faces. There are some that are super creepy, and the super creepy ones are the ones that are left on the shelf.
Yeah.
So, like, quality female character action figures would be great.
And that Ashley Eckstein actually brought that up one time when they were talking about the girl shirts weren't selling in Star Wars. And I remember going to one of the first celebrations I went to, and the shirt was obviously not a girl shirt. It was a boy, or maybe like a boy junior shirt that they were selling. So it wasn't it wasn't fit for a woman. And they
no room for the boobs.
Yeah, and they just put pink on it. And I guess they assumed since they put pink on it and it label a girl shirt that, well, the girls didn't buy it. But that's, again, not fair to the female customers, because if you just put pink on it and say, well, that's a girl shirt, and then you say, well, they don't buy it, or it
doesn't fit.
Yeah. So that was, that was a big problem. And I can tell you that I have a very limited collection of Star Wars shirts from 5 years or older, and they're all boy shirts. And then I have, so I'm looking at it right now, a pile of shirts. It's about 20 high and 4 wide of geek shirts right now. So it's not that I wouldn't have bought them earlier. It's just I couldn't. So now I'm almost like crazy about buying geek shirts to the point where I get everything because I couldn't get anything for years. So
our closets must look very similar.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like my closet. Thank you, Her Universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, right?
No kidding.
But not only that, I mean, Her Universe has spawned other, clothing designers, and specifically a lot that, work with Hot Topic, to come out with all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, I just saw an amazing Harley Quinn dress the other day. And, so it's, Her Universe has inspired this kind of like geek clothing thing happening, and now there's Harry Potter stuff, and there's just stuff everywhere. I need more My Little Pony, but we're getting there. I feel like it'll happen eventually. But it's like I don't necessarily need my clothes to have pink on it because I'm not a huge pink fan, but like as long as it's sculpted to fit me and it's flattering, I'm probably going to buy it because I have no self-control.
There you go.
I do have no self-control. I think that Ashley really opened up a market because, whenever I go, I co-host a show called Most Craved that airs on Crave Online, comingsoon.net, superhero hype. And every time I wear, say, a Ms. Marvel shirt that I got from Her Universe, or I wear my Darth Vader dress or anything like that, I get hundreds of people sending me messages saying, where can I get that? Mm-hmm. So it was a huge market. It was obviously untapped, and it's doing really well. And if you look at Etsy in the geek section, you can see people want this stuff, and someone's going to make it. So corporations, you might as well give it a shot.
I know. It's crazy. Yeah. Jenna, will you be at Star Wars Celebration?
I will. This will actually be my first one. I've wanted to go for years. It seems ridiculous that I haven't been to one considering my connection with Star Wars, but there's always been some crazy reason I haven't gone. So this year, yes, I will be there.
Great.
That's amazing.
We will all be there too. We're excited about that. We're celebrating it. And just tell us while we're wrapping up where people can find you, especially social media wise, and we'll share all this stuff on our show notes.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I spend a lot of my day on social media. So on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram, and Google Plus, I am at Jenna Busch. And it's Busch, like the beer, not the president. And you can find Legion of Leia, pretty much same thing across all of social media, Tumblr, everything. It's all Legion of Leia, at Legion of Leia. And I would love it if you guys would like Legion of Leia on Facebook. That would be amazing.
Already done.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you can watch Most Craved. I post it on Legion of Leia every Thursday, but you can also see it, like I said, Superhero Hype, Crave Online, comingsoon.net.
Well, thanks so much for taking time to talk about your passion for Star Wars and for promoting this sort of wave of Star Wars supporters from the female perspective. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I will come on anytime. Yep.
All right, guys. Well, it's Valentine's Day, and we're here. So first things first, let's talk about a little bit of the Valentine's Day merchandise that's out there. Actually, today, as we record this, we all got emails in our inbox from Her Universe, and I will just read it. This Valentine's Day, share an Imperial romance. New Star Wars Imperial Love hoodie or purchase our special light side, dark side bundle with our Star Wars Hope hoodie for a limited time. So for all of you people out there that have the Hope hoodie and love it like me.
And me.
There is now a love version of the hoodie. It's black with gray lettering, and the O from love is the Imperial logo. So, oh my gosh, I am going to be buying this. And it's going to be my pajamas for Celebration. So when we're at Celebration and we leave the hotel room and we're walking around in the hotel, I will have on my love or hope hoodie, just so you know.
So I went to thinkgeek.com because pretty much everything on thinkgeek.com I want. And especially for Valentine's Day, they have just a few of my favorite things. A Star Wars Han and Leia I Love You, I Know hand towels. So you can buy that and you get a gift for your significant other and a gift for you at the same time. And it's very exciting. They are white and they have silhouettes of Leia and Han's heads and the words embroidered on them, I love you, I know. And they're super cute. And if you want to give a gift, a bundle gift from ThinkGeek, you can also find I Love You, I Know cufflinks as well.
If you head over to your local Hallmark store right now, you can actually pick up I Love You, I Know coffee mugs. They come as a set. Yep, there's a Leia one and a Han one, and it says I love you and I know. Also, I don't know if you guys know, but there are these things that are called itty bitties, and they're adorable little plush beanie toys. There's a Han and Leia set that has just come out at the beginning of this month, as well as a Chewie and a Yoda. They're adorable. They make great Valentine's Day gifts to add to, like, a sweet Valentine's card or something like that. But there you go, guys. So go and get Valentine's Day merch for yourself or for someone else. Let's jump into this. So it is character discussion time.
Oh, and we have to play a fun special jingle that Rob Dellinger just composed for us.
Sidious, Anakin, Luke and Leia, Qui-Gon Jinn, C.O. Bibble, Kylo Ren, Salacious Crumb, Bib Fortuna, Boba Fett, Amidala, Wicket, R2-D2, BB-8, I can barely keep it straight. It's a character discussion. It's the Fangirls on character. It's a character discussion.
So in honor of Valentine's Day, what we're doing with our character discussion this time is we're kind of doing it a little bit different. We're taking our favorite couples or our favorite duos in the entire Star Wars universe, and we're creating a top 10 list. And this is how it's going to go. We each have our top 3, and then we have one that is the number one choice of our listeners, and it's been voted on, and we will be revealing that last. So we're going to go and kind of like around the table from 3 to 1, and this will create our top 10. Now, are you guys ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so let's start with Tricia. What is your number 3 favorite couple or duo in the Star Wars universe?
I totally went expanded universe, but it's a movie character, Wedge, and then Ayala, who he met in the expanded universe. So they're one of my favorite couples, and one of the reasons they're my favorite couples is they're both warriors, and they do their own thing, and they have their own careers, but then you get to see these great moments. So most of them created by Aaron Alston. Thank you, dearly departed man who told a lot of stories that I really, really loved, that they were kind of a power couple, and that they had their own careers, but also had a family and loved each other dearly.
My number 3, I went with a pick that I was thinking about, but then one of our listeners posted a comment on our Facebook post, and he mentioned Jabba and Salacious Crumb. So that is what I'm going with for my number 3. I think it's just...
That's actually a great one. That's really good.
It is. It's awesome. So thank you, Bill Medea, for suggesting that. And Jabba and Salacious Crumb, it's like a symbiotic relationship. And now, I did not know this until I looked it up on Wikipedia, but if Salacious Crumb didn't make Jabba laugh at least one time per day, Jabba would eat him. So it really is a symbiotic relationship.
Oh, my.
That's really funny. All right. So my number 3, this is going to seem a little bit odd. My number 3 is actually Han and his Tauntaun.
Oh, but he kills the tauntaun. Well, I guess he doesn't kill it.
He rides that tauntaun into the ground.
Yeah, he does. I don't know. There's something about his amazing affection for tauntauns and he obviously really loves them. You can tell. He really, really loves them. He has a special place in his heart for them. I think it's also partly because one of the best lines of Empire Strikes Back comes from this particular scene. And I just love the image of Han having to ride this nasty animal.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Oh, well, you know what? We have a soft spot for tauntauns here on the show, so
I know.
We do.
Tawny, my tauntaun is very offended that you say he smells nasty.
Well, Han's tauntaun smells nasty. Our tauntauns are clean and groomed and have, they're well taken care of. They're indoor tauntauns.
Give them one trip to Celebration and they might not be so clean. So I knew Teresa was going to go really out there, so I just stayed totally traditional. So I'm the traditional one. My number 2 is Luke and Mara, and this is why they are my number 2, because the love of Luke and Mara as a ship, as in a relationship, was really one of the things that kept the fandom going in the dark times. So when Heir of the Empire came out, and then that whole series of books, we didn't know we were going to have any more movies, and there was a lot of fans that came into the books because of them, and specifically because of Mara's character. And I think they're one of the reasons that we still saw a lot of interest in it. So not only were they a fun character to see the farm boy and the assassin, so to speak, kind of play off each other, but I liked the cynical, snarky Mara versus the innocent, naive Luke. They were a great dynamic. So anyway, Luke Mara is my number 2.
Excellent choice. My number 2 goes a little off the beaten path, and it is Han and his Falcon. Because who doesn't love the Millennium Falcon? And Han, it's kind of, they have a love-hate relationship. Really do. Yeah. So, it's the definition of love-hate, because, Han, he'll nickname it his baby, or his hunk of junk, or doesn't look like much, but she's got it where it counts. So it's like he loves her, but then the Falcon can also let him down sometimes.
She's just messing with them.
Yeah, I think so.
She's just messing with him. She's like, I'm going to make him sweat a little bit.
Yeah. And one of my favorite moments between Han and his Falcon is the way that Han looks longingly at it when he lets Lando borrow it.
I'll take good care of her. She won't get a scratch. I got your promise. Not a scratch.
That is a great scene.
It's that moment.
All right, my number 2 is Hondo and Obi-Wan. I love the dynamic between Hondo Ohnaka and Obi-Wan Kenobi. It rocks. It is so funny. It's so sarcastic and so quirky, and just all of these, they say all these crazy things to each other, and just the way that they look at each other. And it's that in another place, in another time, in another galaxy, they would probably be best friends. But because Obi-Wan is a Jedi Knight, he can't let himself like Hondo too much, even though he really does. It's so complicated. I just love it. I think it's great. And Hondo's one of my favorite characters of all time. So, woo, he had to be in my list.
He's another character from animation that I would love to see in live action.
Oh, how cool would that be?
Yeah, because he's always got the best line. So, the best snarky line.
And a great voice to go along with that.
And here I thought we were friends.
Yeah, I know. It's a good voice. It's a good voice. So, I don't think anybody's going to be shocked by my number 1, but...
No.
do I need to telegraph it? No. No, it's Jaina and Jag. And the reason they work together is actually my friend Mary Margaret Sheridan actually posted on it, and she asked, do we get to do EU Legends? And we said yes, because everybody's Star Wars is what it is to them, and that's what I believe. And she says, Jane and Jag are light years ahead. if canon only, then she picked a different couple, and she mentioned R2 and 3PO as the old married couple disguised as droids. And she also mentioned Han and the Falcon. No name for that category, but for her, it was Jaina and Jack. And for me, it is too. And that's because Jaina really, for me, embodied the best of, if you're not a book fan or don't really know, she was the daughter of Han Solo and Princess Leia in the books beyond the movies. So, Han and Leia were one of my dream couples. And then they got to have a daughter who swung a lightsaber and flew an X-Wing. And she was in Rogue Squadron and she flew for Wedge Antilles. And then she meets this Imperial pilot who her dad really is not going to want her to, fall in love with an Imperial pilot. But, she does anyway. And he's not a Force user. And I love that dynamic of non-Force user with a Force user, because there's always a good balance there to kind of keep them in line. And anyway, I thought they were a great couple. They always made me smile. I used to run to the bookstores to get the next book and see what was going on with them. So anyway, my first ever thing I got to do with Star Wars with Del Rey was for the Valentine's Day to get the picture of them from Aaron Alston's Enemy Lines duologies of them together. So that's why I picked them. They're my favorite. They always will be. Maybe someday someone will replace them, but at least not now.
That's a favorite moment for you. That sounds awesome. And in fact, I'm excited to read about Jaina's story. And I asked you on Twitter a week ago, what books to start with in the EU. So I'm excited to start that. I just have to finish Gone Girl first.
Good book.
Yeah. So I'm going to be finishing that and then embarking on my Star Wars Legends Jaina story. So exciting. All right. So my number one is, not surprisingly, if you know me or heard the last episode, it's Han and Leia. Because that is what drew me into Star Wars in the first place. And being, 10, 11 years old, and I just fell in love with that romance and the chemistry. I mean, my goodness. But I think we'll have a little more to say on that later. So, Teresa, why don't you give your number one?
My number one is Ahsoka and Anakin. The Clone Wars meant a lot to me, and you guys, most of you that listen to the show know that the prequels mean a lot to me, and I really love Anakin's character and how it was fleshed out, and I love his dynamic between him and Ahsoka, and that relationship is one of my favorites of all time, and that's why at the end of the Clone Wars, I just could not keep my stuff together, because it was the parting of my favorite pair of people to watch on screen ever. And it was devastating. It's like they got a divorce. And I couldn't handle it. Even now, I'm getting choked up thinking about the fact that she walked away from him. And it's how do you do that? How do you walk away from your best friend? How do you walk away from your mentor? How do you do that? I don't know. I can't talk anymore.
Oh, that was so well played out. And I love Ashley Eckstein's, when she was interviewed about that scene, and someone asked her, what do you think Ahsoka did right after she walked off the steps of the Jedi Temple? And Ashley said, I think she went and had cupcakes.
I think she went and had cupcakes and drowned her sorrows in cupcakes and milk.
A good cry.
Blue milk.
Yeah. Oh.
So, all right, we are here. So the listener number one, cue fanfare, is Han and Leia.
Yay!
So, Sarah,
good job, listeners.
I'm going to let you take it from here.
Okay. Well, I am excited that the listeners chose Han and Leia. I mean, obviously, it's one of the seminal couples in Star Wars. And I mean, come on, the love scene, enough said right there. I just love that love scene. I love how it's just fraught with their chemistry and energy.
Stop that.
Stop what?
Stop that. My hands are dirty.
My hands are dirty, too. What are you afraid of?
And then, of course, the I love you, I know line between Han and Leia. It's one of the most iconic lines. And if you think about it, when Han says, I know, I mean, that says more about Han Solo's character in that one moment than 20 minutes of exposition ever could. And then the fact that Leia throws it back in his face in Return of the Jedi, it's a testament to Star Wars storytellers not being afraid to show a strong female character. And of course, as relates to the expanded universe, back when I got my hands on the Timothy Zahn novels in the 90s and the Thrawn trilogy, I was most excited to read about Han and Leia's relationship and how it grew through the novels. So that was exciting for me. Do you guys have any other thoughts?
To me, they epitomize what I think hopefully Star Wars will aspire to, as far as just it's the chemistry between them that really worked, and they're their own independent people, but they sort of end up changing themselves. Leia becomes more open and receptive. You could see she's always very guarded in the, at the beginning of the movie. Has her mission, and she actually steps away from the rebellion and does something for herself to go save Han Solo in Return of the Jedi. She has a very personal mission, which Luke does too. So I like that symmetry for her character. And then Han is also a very guarded person from, we don't know what happened in his life, but that, he's got a good heart. He does the right thing, like going back to help Luke out in the end of A New Hope. So, but he kind of rises above everything out of feelings and sentiment for her. And he actually lets Lando take the Millennium Falcon so he can go down on a mission. So, and help and I don't think if it hadn't been for Leia, he might not have become that person to become as selfless as he was. So, he's a little bit in a pickle when we first see him, and he makes it out. And a lot of that, I think, is him becoming more open to not being, Solo, the name Solo even. I'm just by myself. And then, he has Chewbacca, but I always loved Chewbacca sort of in there like, yeah, I know you better than you do, Han. So I really love, too, that we had some fun write-ins. R2 and 3PO were in there in the running for favorite couple. So, and Corrin and Mirax from the Expanded Universe. And then Maliki and the Rancor got a vote. So,
Aww, and he's crying.
I can't believe Teresa didn't pick an Ewok couple. Next episode, our top 10 Ewok character couples.
Our top 10 Ewok character couples. No, but top 10 lists are fun. They're great. They're really awesome to do. So we'll probably do some more from time to time. I think another really good one, guys, would be like top 10 sidekicks. Because there's tons of them. It's time to wrap this particular show up, but thank you everybody for sending us in feedback and joining our discussions on Facebook and on Twitter, and keep playing with us on the interwebs as we go forward. You can find us on Twitter. We're Fangirls Going Rogue, which is at FG Going Rogue. Tricia is at Fangirl Cantina. I am at Ice Cold Penguin, and Sarah is at Jedi Tink.
And for email, keep sending us your emails, guys. fangirlsgoingrogue@gmail.com. Facebook, we're over 1,000. We're going to push towards 1,100, then 1,200. So that's Fangirls Going Rogue, and keep sharing us with your friends and spreading the fandom and fangirl flails. Tumblr, Fangirls Going Rogue, Tumblr.com. I got tons of Rebel stuff up there. Tons of it.
And if you guys want to follow us on Instagram, we are the same as Twitter at FG Going Rogue. And voicemails are always fun. You heard some fun voicemails today. So if you want to leave a voicemail, please, you can contact us at 331-21-EWOKS, or that is 331-213-9657.
And please go like Rebel Force Radio on iTunes and leave a positive review. And in your review, mention how much you like Fangirls Going Rogue.
That's right. So until next time, da 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 da.
Yum.
Yum.